Hello, everybody. This is Frank with Iron Age News on the South Florida Conservative News Service. It is June 6th, a Friday. Hope you're all having a good day. And this is the first of two-part series discussing some of the more not discussed points of the religion of Islam and how Islam is actually a political movement, which is what we're going to talk about first. And then the second part will be about Islamic warfare and doctrine. When we are discussing this part here, for all of you rabid pro-Palestinians who haven't opened a book in your whole lives, we're going to be using mostly from the text of the Quran and the Hadith. The Quran, obviously, is the divinely inspired book that was given to the Prophet Muhammad, and the Hadith are sayings attributed to the Prophet Muhammad by a bunch of other guys. Okay. When you're talking about this, first of all, that's the important part. The second part is the issue of a split between Sunni and Shia. And basically, I'll greatly oversimplify it. It's who's in charge. It's not Protestant Catholic. Well, in a way it is, but it's who's in charge. There has never been an Islamic Reformation. So, in fact, they get more extreme as they go along. But that's where we are with that. So here we are. And we're going to talk about, as we do with the political theater, global strategy, ideological warfare, and just get right down to this. And this is also going to involve a group called the Muslim Brotherhood, which is probably the number one purveyor outside of the Iranian Republican Guard when it comes to forcing Islam down the throats of the rest of the planet. So when most people think of a war in terms of tanks and drones and battlefields, some wars are going to be fought in silence. They're fought in classrooms, they're fought in boardrooms, they're fought in ballot boxes, and yes, they are fought in mosques, carefully positioned to look like community centers. The Muslim Brotherhood isn't just a religious group, because it never was, since its founding in Egypt in 1928 by Hassan al-Banna. It's been a political machine. It has been put out as a terrorist organization in a number of countries. It's banned in Egypt, where it came from, and it has been banned in a lot of other spots, specifically because it behaves as a terrorist organization. It is not built to coexist with the West. It is built to replace the West. It can come into an area. The idea is to assimilate you into their identity, much like everyone's favorite comic book villain, the Borg, right? It is the nature of Islam to dominate, not to be dominated. This is from Hassan al-Banna himself, obviously translated from the Arabic. It is nature of Islam to dominate, not to be dominated, to impose its law on all nations and to extend its power to the entire planet. That is not a spiritual reflection. That is a mission statement. And their method to be used is subversion. And their battlefield right now is the republic on which we live in the United States. So we'll quote from a document that was seized by the FBI and entered into a federal court during the 2008 Holy Land Foundation terrorism financing trial. It's called the Explanatory Memorandum. It was written by a Muslim Brotherhood operative. The Ikhwan, Ikhwan, which means brotherhood, must understand that their work in America is a kind of grand jihad in eliminating and destroying Western civilization from within and sabotaging its miserable house by their hands and the hands of the believer. Because there are two houses. There is the house of Islam, which has already been conquered, and there is the house of war, which is the areas that have not been conquered. Everybody probably listening to me, we live in the house of war. All right? Because that is how they look at us. It is an area to be taken, is an area to be assimilated. All the unbelievers are to be killed, and Sharia law is to be implemented. None of which jibes with the Constitution, Bill of Rights, things that we all take for granted, and we shouldn't because they're being perverted by these people, and they intend to destroy you from within. Okay? Not with the tanks, not with the bombs, but with the laws and with the policies and with people that are in position of power that were not elected to be in position of power, because they have the fear that you will be considered intolerant, that you are a bigot, that you are anti-Arab, that you are anti-Islam, In some cases where maybe they're from Africa, you're anti-black, right? Like the Somalis, whatever the hell they want to play at these days. They don't need to storm the Capitol. They are building offices inside of it. Okay. Once again, so you can follow what we're talking about here. He says, and this is Yusuf al-Qaradawi, another cuddlebug. We will conquer Europe. We will conquer America, not through the sword, but through dawah, which is Islamic proselytizing. You see it all over in England when they're out in the street, which honestly, when you see a lot of stuff in the street, which goes against their sanitary laws for worship and all this kind of stuff, and they have a perfectly good building inside, and they have all these ignorant peasants out there laying in the sidewalk and on the street praying, that's part of it. It's their idea of a show of force. This isn't fringe. Qaradawi was the Brotherhood's intellectual giant, if you want to go that way. He's a household name in the Arab world. Al Jazeera loved him. Western media called him a moderate because they didn't know what an extremist looked like. Okay? He's a moderate. His books say apostates, meaning everybody probably listening to me, should be executed. He called Hitler Allah's punishment for the Jews. So go either way on that, knowing how this whole Jew thing's going, right? Go either way on that one. The West made a fatal mistake. We gave this ideological parasite the same protections that we give to churches and schools. But the Brotherhood is not a faith, all right? It is a state in waiting, wrapped in scripture, and funded through a web of charities, shell groups, and interfaith scams. If you ever see CAIR, C-A-I-R, or Linda Sarsour, they are the front men for Muslim Brotherhood in the United States, among others. And like I said, did you ever wonder why they love the term Islamophobia? Because it shuts down scrutiny on what they're doing. They want to build a private city in Texas under Sharia law. That's why you're able to stop it. You're not allowed to have your own city operating under any laws that are outside of the laws of the United States. They will not recognize the law of the state of Texas. They will not recognize the law of Shithole County, and they will not recognize the law of the federal government in that area. So it will not come to pass. The Hasidic Jews tried to do it in Pennsylvania. I remember when it happened. Same thing. They could not do it because they were trying to make it only their people. And if houses were for sale, houses for sale in the United States have to go to whoever wants to buy them. Right? So the Brotherhood's goal isn't just influence, it's hegemony. Their doctrine says democracy is haram, which means unlawful. Okay? Law must come from Allah, not from the people. So what are they doing in Congress or in the school boards or on the advisory panels? If they're telling you law must come from Allah, it can only come from the Quran, it can come from Hadith. So if it's not in those two books, they don't need it. It is a neo-Luddite system, meaning technology in general is bad because technology would challenge most of the things that they're telling you you shouldn't have, right? So there's a question there always. They are very similar. Brotherhood more so than just the regular ones. Brotherhood is more of a Khmer Rouge type of organization, if you understand the Khmer Rouge, which was intellectualism and technology and things are bad, so we'll kill all the people that are involved in those and bring us back to an agrarian level. They are going to drag you back to the Middle Ages, and actually before the Middle Ages, to the time of Muhammad, because they didn't really have any encounters with the Christians and Jews. That's a period that they would really like to be in, where they were like king of the heap, okay? So they are running this. They are running colonization by committee in the United States. They are well funded. Qatar is involved again, as we all say. Egypt is involved. Iran is involved. So what's the cost of the silence here? You see what's happened to Europe, right? Europe is waking up too late. Entire cities, and I'll say entire cities, they'll say neighborhoods, but a neighborhood that's 50 blocks run under Sharia law informally. The police aren't in there, but the religious police are there. The religious police are shaming or chasing European women out of communities because of the way they're dressed. They assault and they rape and they occasionally murder with impunity in Europe and in the United Kingdom. So do we want to have the same problems that Paris has? Do we want them in Phoenix? Do we want the same problems that London has? Do we want them in Los Angeles? It's not a hate situation. It is a survival situation. We will not survive a takeover by a Muslim Brotherhood or any other militant Islamo-fascist organization. It will not be a particular country that gets us. It'll be the movement that flows through these countries. Wahhabi, this, right? So when people say, oh, you're hating, it's like, no, it's totally survival. You can go and pull up any number of quotes and things, especially from Muslim Brotherhood, in its real form. Don't play with CARE because CARE has been trying to stay away from it. They have women out there in the front, right? Because, normally they don't let women do shit. But if you're a woman who is beating the drums for insane Islamofascism, then you're allowed to say something. If Linda Sarsour wasn't talking like she was talking, her and the donkey would be out in the backyard somewhere doing something with the turnip patch. It's that fast and simple. Okay. So, like I said, it's not hate, it's survival. The Brotherhood declared war a long time ago. And will the West ever fight back? I'm not quite sure. But, if you are concerned about this, then you should dig deeper into it. There are a number of good books that are out there. Uh, Actually, there are a couple of good books out there. But the Muslim Brotherhood does not cloak its mission in nonsense. When you see what they've done in Egypt, they've been involved in murders. Some people link them to the old assassin cult, but I don't want to get too far into the weeds with this. Just consider that this is part of it as a political movement. They are not coming here to get you to join because they are a more clever speaker on the high points of Muhammad or Allah. They do not care what you think. They are setting themselves as they are the founders of the chess game. They are putting their castles, they are putting their bishops, they are putting whoever, waiting for their king to come in here and end our game, for lack of a better term. So that's it. Look forward to any questions, comments, blah, blah, blah. Please get in touch with us. The next section is a little bit more involved. That's Islamic warfare doctrine. We have written reports on this on www.southfloridaconservative.com. You can see that there. And otherwise, what can I tell you? Have a good day, and we'll talk to you later on.